Okay, we live. And I got a bit of feedback there from my smartphone. If you're watching the replay, let me know where you're joining me from. Let me know your city, your country, what part of the world are you joining this live stream. You may have caught the title of the live, Manifesting Our Reality. As people are letting me know where they're from, and if you are joining live, please do let me know where you are joining, what time it is, what country you're joining. It might be the morning or the evening or the afternoon, as it is here in Australia. And we have Aaron in the chat today, handling all the comments. If you've got any specific questions, I'm sure Aaron will be more than happy to answer anything if I can't get to your question. He will also provide my email address. So if you want to reach out to me via email, you might have a specific question. Perhaps you've got something going on in your life and you need a little bit of personal life support. I'm here to help you. So Aaron will provide my email address in the chat so you can contact me directly. Manifestation. We're all doing it. We're doing it positively. We're doing it negatively. If we're aware of it or not, it doesn't matter, because it is happening nonetheless. We create our lives. For the vast majority of people, they're obviously creating unconsciously. My hope for you today is that this message not necessarily teaches you anything new, but reminds you of something that you need to practice. A lot of us have knowledge. Not surprising, we live in the information age where we are able to access vast amounts of information. Even with the advent of artificial intelligence, more than ever do we have at our disposal, at our fingertips, all the knowledge we could ever need. And yet more than ever I witness that there's more people that are depressed, more people that are diseased. You have to ask the question, why? Why are people not able to apply? Why are they not living these truths? You get what you focus on. What you focus on expands and becomes your life. It solidifies, it becomes your experience. What are you focused on? That is the number one question I'll begin with. What is the predominant set of thoughts that you're having in any given day? Are they negatively polarized? Or are they positively polarized? Depending on where you sit, that is going to be the reality that you experience. This happens day to day, week to month, month to year. When I became aware, boy, did I start to change my thinking. Did I start to want to let go of some of those negative ideas, opinions, perspectives that I had on life? Because when I realized that I create my reality, good, bad, or indifferent, suddenly I had a sense of responsibility. I didn't want to create all of the unwanted things that I had created up until that point. I wanted to create intentionally, purposefully. Of course, the vast majority of people are skeptical. They think that life is random. It's left up to chance. We don't have control. We live in a random universe. And yet those of us that are conscious, those of us that are aware and awake, understand the principles that are pointed to in things like quantum physics now and mechanics is that everything is energy, oscillating, vibrating at different frequencies, including you. And energetically, we live in a world that is magnetic, that polarizes to us the thing in which we are vibrating because we have to align energetically. If you're having a bad day, you know this from experience. You will create a succession of things that take you from bad to worse. One negative thing attracting another, and you're on a whole trajectory throughout that day of negativity. Why? Because the way we feel creates the emotion, creates the energy, which becomes our experience. When we learn to apply the knowledge. See, the knowledge is great, but the knowledge without application is meaningless. It's useless. Because the vast majority of individuals, when it comes to any given subject, have a vast array of access to knowledge. This whole age has been the information age. They all have the knowledge, and yet how many people do you know in your life that are know-it-alls? They know everything, and yet most likely they're the last ones to apply what they know. They're happy to tell you about how to do something, and yet they fail to take action in their own life. I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be someone that doesn't take action. No, I understand that I'm creating my reality. Now, the naysayers will say this is corny and over the top and negative and being too optimistic and being too, this is another one, too simplistic. Life's a lot more complicated than this, Paul. You can't simplify the complexities of this life. It's complicated. And yet I found by disidentifying with the mind and all of its reasoning and creating a state of internal peace, from a place of peace, I can experience peace. See, as within, so without. As above, so below. My question for you is, what reality have you been experiencing? Let me know in the comments now. What, up until this point you're hearing this, what is the reality that you've been experiencing? I used to be a pessimistic. I had a pessimistic type of family. Many people will relate to that. We always talked about all the stuff that we didn't like, all the stuff that was going wrong, all the people that hurt us, betrayed us, did us wrong. And we can get so identified with that version, with those attitudes, then we see the world through a lens of negativity. In fact, people do it all the time now because we live in such a exposed landscape with social media now. We can see all the comments in real time, what people think, what they say, the arguments, all of this stuff is very obvious. We can see people's perspective. The vast majority of comments I read online are negatively polarized. So my conclusion with where the vast majority of individuals lie, they're in the group of negativity. See, when you're not consciously trying to create, you're leaving it to a default, which is likely to be negativity, which is likely to be pessimistic. I would much rather be conscious, and I am conscious. How does that look, you might ask? How does Paul's day look of consciously creating? Let me tell you what I used to do. I used to start my day by picking up my smartphone. I'd access the news. Then I'd go to Instagram, I'd go to Facebook, I would see all of the good and the negative, how wonderful some people's lives were, or the life that they wanted others to see. Then I'd make comparisons to my own, feel inadequate. Then I would read the news and read all of the conflicts occurring in the world, the disasters, the crime rate soaring, the statistics, the health issues. By the time I got out of bed, how do you think I felt? And yet for the vast majority of them, that's exactly how they start their day. And they wonder why they see a negative world, why they see from a certain perspective. This is how I begin my day now. I wake up. I do 15 minutes of meditation where I go within and I access my intuition. I get still. I allow myself to feed off the energetic energy of my soul. Then I go to my gratitude journal. And I can hear even some of you here, oh, doesn't that sound corny? Doesn't that sound silly? And yet, when I emerge out of bed in a given day, I feel good. I feel energized. I feel like I'm headed in a certain trajectory. It does not mean, though, everything's going to go perfectly. But when something goes right for me, that is what I give my attention to. That is where I put my focus. That is where I express gratitude towards. And then what I notice is that I'm on a trajectory upward, a trajectory in a direction that I want to go, rather than being identified with all of the negative. What are you identifying with? And the choice is yours. You get to choose what you put your focus on. What you put your focus on expands and becomes your life. I'm going to read some of the comments. We've got Aaron saying manifestation. Hello to Dina and Sue. Wonderful to see you, Sue. We're always communicating via chat here. William, welcome, and Sue. We got people from North America, Australia. If you're watching the replay, let me know where you're from. One of the biggest and most important aspects of our daily life is to feel good. For the vast amount of individuals, they don't feel good most of the time. They're worried about paying their bills. This is the big one right now, isn't it? Global cost of living crisis. People feeling the pinch. People creating budgets and really focusing on what they don't have or the little that they do. Cutting back. Getting practical about their life. Getting serious. Bringing a serious energy. Saying, and this is the biggest one, I hear from so many people, I can't afford it anymore. I can't afford it. The biggest affirmation I keep hearing, I can't afford it. A terrible affirmation. We live in an abundant universe. It is the mind that puts the conditions. You might say, yeah, but I only earn a certain amount in my career. And yet there are a myriad of ways that life can bring abundance to you. I'll give you an example. Even just the other day, a friend of mine who left his previous company had about 5 iPads that he was given as a part of his settlement. He gave me one of those iPads. I wasn't expecting it. I wanted an iPad. I was putting the energy out for the iPad. I had better things to focus on, and I let it go, and the iPad came to me. What is it in your life that you want to attract? What's missing in your experience? Is it a relationship? Is it a new job? Is it a baby? As I worked with someone recently who wanted to have a baby, wasn't able to conceive. We'd worked together and she was able to have a baby very quickly after changing her mindset. Mindset is everything. Now, there is a difference between knowing and wanting. Most of us make this error when it comes to manifestation. We want something. In fact, most of the time we want it so bad. We want it. We want the baby. We want the job. We want the relationship. We want the money. We want it so bad. And what we're vibrating to the universe, because it is just responding to your energy, it doesn't understand, it doesn't communicate in the way of language, it communicates in the way of energy, because everything, including the universe, is energy. And when you have this energetic response of want, your energy is telling the universe want. It's just giving you more to want. It is giving you more to want for. All you're getting back, because all you're sending out, is want. I want to have a baby. I want to have a baby. I want to have. And you just get more delays. When you bring the wants to know, when you begin, and it ain't going to happen by doing 5 affirmations. This is a lifestyle. This is a living this. This is about being. When you get to a place of knowing, you know that you're abundant. It does not matter what you see around you. It doesn't matter if others are losing their job and there's lack and limitation and you look at your bank account. When you know that you are abundant, you will begin to manifest into your life everything you desire. But it doesn't come by lack of consistency. It doesn't come by trying it once or for a few weeks because you read a book or listened to a YouTube video. It comes from living it. And I challenge you all listening to this, unless you are living this, this is becoming the predominance of your thinking, you're going to get what you are predominantly thinking about. That is a done deal. Is this the type of information that you're predominantly focused on? See, when you understand that a message like I'm sharing today is never going to get old, because you could have been doing this work for 20 years and this is just going to remind you, it's just going to encourage you, it's just going to get you more clear to create more consciously. Every single day I listen to the teachers that inspire me. I've listened to those same messages 20, 30, 40 times. I've read the same books 10, 20, 15 times. Why? Because there's not enough books to read? No, I'm reminding myself, I'm energizing myself, I'm getting predominantly my thinking over and over again through consistency onto what I want to manifest and create in my reality. And those that know me know I go to the gym about 5 times a week. I would never keep the results I have if I didn't show up for myself consistently. I get the results through consistently going week after week, month after month, year after year. Some people can be highly pessimistic and criticize and say, well, you're just born like that. No, I work really consistently to constantly have that result. How consistent have you been? Have you been really living this? Or do you occasionally visit it? Have you read 1 or 2 books, but you've forgotten the vast majority of concepts? And what are you spending your time talking about? Here's the thing, a lot of us criticize other people. We gossip, we criticize, look at, she's got, can you believe it? Everything just goes her way. And the moment you criticize another, Guess what you're sending out to the universe? Criticism. Guess what's coming back to you? What you put out comes back. If you're criticizing others, you will find so many places in your life that you're being criticized. This is what I mean by living intentionally. I'm very conscious of every thought, of every word, of every idea that I put out into this universe, because I know I'm creating it. From everyone from Shakespeare to Dolores Cannon. I even read this in the book, The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne, a fellow Australian who wrote this in this book, that this is an illusion, it's a costume that we're wearing, it's a play, we have our entrance, we have our exit, or, in the words of Dolores Cannon, you are the director, you are the main actor, you are the producer, scriptwriter in your own play. If you don't like the way it is going, you can change it anytime you want. That is how powerful you are. What is your play looking like? What is your movie looking like? Is it full of tragedy, full of disappointment? Or is it something you just can't stop watching? See, it might sound corny. It might sound over simplistic because we think that the life is complicated, right? And we get a complicated life because you get what you believe. When I simplified, I used to experience this, right? I used to think the world was complicated. Oh, it's so complicated. And humanity for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years, hasn't been able to get it right. And we got so many problems. It's so difficult. The moment I simplified my life and I believed in the simplicity, in the stillness, I started to identify with the awareness rather than the physical. I began to experience peace. When you experience peace in here, you're going to experience peace out here. As within, so without, as above, so below. Perhaps that's your desire. You're listening to this today because you want more joy in your life. You want more peace in your life. You've been suffering. Boy, have you been suffering, and the pain. Work with people every day. Enormous physical pain from ailments that they've struggled with for years. And I consistently say the same thing. Suffering is a choice. Now, people are going to criticize that statement, and yet I found it to be my experience. Where does suffering occur? Are connected. And yet all suffering is a choice. It is how we react to life. I could be driving down the street. I used to be one of these drivers. I'm driving along, and every time I drive, and it doesn't matter if I'm in a positive state or a negative state, there are people on the road that aren't great drivers, right? I can't change people's driving abilities. But what I can do is I can change my reaction to it. See, when we're anxious and we're frustrated and we're in a hurry and we need to get somewhere, we're heavy on the horn, right? And we hear it all the time, particularly in the busier cities like where I live. Every time I visit Los Angeles, boy, do I hear the noise of the horns. People are frustrated. Every time someone is driving slowly before me, it's a reminder to go within. Every time I get a traffic light, I remind myself, I got a few moments here to just go within. The same condition. Now, someone can be erratic and angry every single time, almost unconsciously, and you know these people, well, you can experience peace. Now, the suffering is a choice. That driver is choosing to suffer every time they're behind the wheel, and yet for me, it's blissful. For me, I get there when I get there. Doesn't mean I'm not organized and I try to be on time. I always am. But if there is a traffic jam, if there is a red light, if there is a slow driver, I'm not going to lose my joy. The most important aspect of manifestation is that you feel good all of the time. Because the way you feel is what you're going to attract into your experience. If you're feeling down and negative, you're going to be talking negative, and then you're going to be getting a negative life. One of the things that happens with manifestation is we're trying to create it. We're trying to make it happen over and over again. You need to become and be grateful for perhaps what you're not seeing yet. Know that it is done, and then let it go. Most people that try manifestation, I emphasize that word try because that's a vast majority of people. They're trying, and way too hard, by the way. They're not in knowing, they're in trying. So all they get is delays. All they get is more trying, more trying. All they're creating is trying. It is not so much that the words and the thoughts that we speak are powerful, although they become powerful. It is that you are powerful. And by what you focus on becomes powerful, either negatively or positively. What you give your attention to becomes powerful. If you've created unconsciously a negative life, you were powerful enough to create it. Dolores Cannon said, if you are powerful enough to create disease in the body, you are powerful enough to make yourself well. That is how powerful you are. Now, if you believe that you don't have power, that you're insignificant, that you lack authority, that no one listens to you, guess what? It's an undesired reality that has been created. Who's getting conscious? Who's getting at least energized? Because I want to bring a sense of energy when I'm sharing. Energy is important. Optimism has a vibration, has a frequency to it, just like negativity. Aaron, we've got some questions that have come through via email. I want to get to some questions. If you can line some of those up for me, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to just welcome a few of you that have joined in, and great to see you still here. Sue and Soren has joined. We have Reese. Reese asked, thank you, Aaron, for putting this question in. Very quick, by the way. Aaron's wonderful. Reese asked, how long does it take to see results from using the law of attraction? Really good question. How long? How long does this process take? Is it going to take years for us to start to manifest? You're manifesting all the time. You're manifesting in every moment of every day. In a single day, I'm manifesting that day. Perhaps it's an accumulation of some of the past thoughts I've had, but within that day, I'm manifesting. So there is actually, in some things, no time at all. We often experience a delay process, and this is a beneficial thing, by the way. If you were getting things instantly, and you were thinking about negative things, and those negative thoughts you were having were just as powerful as the positive ones you were having, boy, would you experience a lot of more negativity than you are. I think there's some protection around this. At least we got some time to pivot and change direction. But to answer the question most simplistically, is you're creating all of the time. And you can manifest, I'm manifesting things for today. I know I'm going to have a wonderful afternoon. I'm already going there energetically. I'm going to have a wonderful afternoon. Does not mean things aren't going to show up in my experience that are unfavorable. But when things show, and they will, by the way, just because you live with a positive mindset, a positive way of seeing, does not mean that you won't be exposed to negativity. This is a misconception. The question is going to be, is how are you going to react? Are you going to give it your energy? Are you going to give it your attention? Or are you just going to thank it for what it's there to do, is probably just reveal to you that you're headed in the wrong direction, thank it for the reminder, and head back to the direction that you want to be in, which is the positivity. By no means am I a denialist. And by no means do I say that I don't face and see negativity in the world. But what I do have control over, and what I do choose to do, is not focus on it. Because what I focus on expands and becomes my experience. I want to give my energy, I want to give my focus to the things I want to see. What are you focusing on, Sue? What are you focusing on, Aaron and Teresa and Soren? What is the focus of your thoughts? Are all those things that you're focusing on the things you want? Or are you thinking about the lack, the limitation, the negativity? Although it's simplistic, the challenge in it is the consistency. Staying with it. Not getting into negativity, not getting into disappointment. Staying consistent. See, that is where the vast majority of people are not able to manifest the lives that they want. It is not that the universe has favorites. This is a huge misconception. Oh, well, it works for Dolores Cannon because she was Dolores Cannon, or it worked for this individual because it's that person. No. It will work for you if you work it. It will work for whoever works it. The universe has no favorites. The divine has no favorites. It's those that apply and those that don't. We live in the information age. We've all got the knowledge. Very few people apply that knowledge consistently, and so very few people get and benefit from the results. It's as simple as that. That's how simplistic it is. How consistent have you been? Did you try it a few times and give up because it was hard? Or are you living this? Are you rereading the books? Are you listening to my live streams on the same subject over and over again, even the past ones? Because when you do that, you're becoming that which you give your attention to. If it's the negativity, boy, do people love negativity. There is an abundance of negativity, particularly online. Just read some of the comments on anyone's video here on YouTube and you will see the vast amounts of people that it's so negative. Even in the spiritual community, we get caught up in ways of thinking, judging other people, seeing the world through a canvas of all of the negativity. A lot of people say to me when I do past life regression work, boy, do I want it out of here. Why did I come here? So negative, so hating this experience, because all they see is what they focus on. When I go out, I don't focus on the things I don't want. I focus on the things that I do want. Yeah, but Paul, you're a denialist, they might say. Well, I'm denying its right to bring me down. Now, if I can take action to solve an issue, I'll take action. But the vast majority of issues are out of our control, and yet we just give it all this attention. We read about crimes that happen in different parts of the world, and then we get down, and none of this stuff has any relevance to your experience, and yet it's tarnishing and tainting your experience because you're getting the energy of it in as a daily dose. You're consuming it like you would food. What you put into your mind is like what you put into your body. It's either going to make you sick or it's either going to make you well. I eat well. I exercise. I think well. I don't just happen to get all of the good stuff. I create the good stuff. And likewise, if I put junk in my body, if I change my diet, if I stopped going to the gym, if I started to focus on the negativity, very soon would my life rapidly decline. And I yet have that choice to do that. I can do that if I choose. Now, of course, I've been around long enough. I've been doing this for 17 plus years. I know better. Some people so identify with being a victim. The responsibility that they create their reality. In fact, I've seen this over and over again. The amount of people that will defend their right to be unhappy. They will defend their right to be sick. How dare you say we create our reality? How dare you say that? And then they get into all sorts of arguments, even on my social media. And yet they have every right to take that position, just as much of a right I have to take mine. I'm not trying to change anyone's perspective. That's not my power. That is not my place. I simply live this life because it is most beneficial to me. I share this information because there are wonderful teachers in my life that came before me that shared this information with me, that helped me become liberated, that helped me forgive the past, that helped me find peace. Now I don't have to suffer. I don't suffer because I know for me that suffering is a choice. I've worked with people that have been given death sentences, 3 months to live, 3 weeks to live. And yet they've applied this and they've transformed their life. There is nothing I have come to learn that is impossible. The only lack and the only limitation is that which you set for yourself. A direct quote from Dolores Cannon. Because she knew, she understood, she realized, she lived that we create our reality and she created hers. She left us with vast amounts of wisdom. Let me know in the chat if you resonate. Give me a heart if you love Dolores Cannon, you love the teachings that she left. One of my teachers, one of my guides that helped me. So I simply, like she did, and other teachers that inspired me, led the way for me to communicate. I'm simply fulfilling what my soul's purpose is, which is to speak and to share. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to change anybody. People certainly have the freedom if they listen to this or not. Perhaps you've just scrolled through on the live streams and this popped up. These words will probably come through to your mind even over the next day to be reminded you have a choice. Perhaps you want to follow this channel for more information like this. Wouldn't you much rather believe that you have power than you don't? Wouldn't you much rather believe that through understanding things like quantum physics and everything is energy? Even Einstein said that, including you, and that energy cannot be created nor destroyed but just changes form, to quote Einstein. And these great geniuses over the years have known this information, and we have access to it. But it's going to be meaningless to you if you don't apply that information. It's not just because it sounds nice. It's because if you apply it and you live it, it will transform your life. Not so much that it is powerful in itself. The great realization, and this is the big one, guys, of this message, the great realization is that you are great, that you are powerful, and what you create manifests, good, bad, or indifferent. That is why you see those people getting the same old negativity over and over again. They never get that relationship. They're never happy. They never get the money. They're always struggling. Of course they're going to blame their upbringing. Of course they're going to blame all of the outer forces. And yet, someone in the same position with different thinking can apply that thinking, can change and shift and transform their life. You've seen it happen. You know those people. You can go there straight away in your mind and make the connection to what I'm saying. I'm going to be sharing these types of messages all this week, probably around the same time. I'm not strict as in when I start. Sometimes I have clients, sometimes things come up, so I don't have a strict starting time, but around this time. If you can't watch live, watch the replay. Re-listen to it. Let this ruminate and get into you like anything else you focus on, because when you start to live it, I get testimonies from people every day that start to apply, that learn how to apply, that begin to manifest, and then they begin to live an abundant, happy, and fulfilled life. You know, that was the biggest thing for me. It wasn't the stuff. It really wasn't the stuff. The biggest thing for me was the peace, the joy, how simplistic life became. If you asked almost any individual, they'll give you the same answer. Paul, all I want is to be happy. Number one thing I want. I just want to be happy. I just want peace. And yet you have the power in this moment to have that. How do I know? Because I do it every day. I, like you, have the disappointments. I, like you, have things that go wrong in my life all of the time. But every experience that I have, every day that I live, I give my energy and focus to the things I want to see more of. And as my life evolves, as my life pans out, I get more and more to be grateful for. I'll see you next time I communicate.